Hello ladies and gentlemen, MarauderEX here with a different video. I wanted to talk about the Nintendo Switch, which I have right here. We're getting ready to go into the holiday season, and a lot of people have started asking me what I've thought about the Switch. I've had friends who have kids asking me, is it, kid-friendly? It seems like it might be a little easy to break. It seems very thin. Like, what are your thoughts about, kids having it, or people who haven't been as active in gaming in recent years asking, like, is this better than, say, the 3DS, or should I just go ahead and get a console? Or I've had a lot of people ask me questions about my thoughts on the Switch, and so I figured I would just do a video on it and try to answer some of these questions and try to give some of my thoughts on it. So first off, I'm going to say I have absolutely loved the Switch so far. It has been a neat, fascinating, and fantastic little piece of hardware. Really, for those looking at the Switch, I would say there's going to be a trade-off. You are going to, for the Switch, you're probably not going to get a lot of the AAA titles. You're not going to get a lot of the huge high-end games. Like if you're expecting your Call of Duty, your Assassin's Creed, things like that, you're probably not going to get those on the Switch. We are getting some AAA titles, but we seem to be getting them a little late. Like we're going to be getting Doom on the Switch coming soon, which, that is a game that I'm interested in, and, I'm super excited to be able to play that portably, but it's not a new game. It's been out for a little while, so we're not getting a lot of anything that you saw at E3 2017, unless it was during the Nintendo Direct, probably won't be on the Switch. There's a lot of things that probably won't be on the Switch. But it doesn't mean that things in the future won't come to the Switch. Like, if you're interested in Fallout 4, there's a possibility that could come out on the Switch. There's talks about Final Fantasy 15 coming out on the Switch, and not the mobile version, but like the actual game coming out on the Switch. So there's going to be a lot of these, multi-platform kind of AAA titles, but they're not going to be a lot of the newer ones. And it's probably going to be a year before we start seeing a lot of the newer ones, because a lot of companies are very hesitant on how much they would have to downgrade. They're worried it would be like another Wii to PS3 and Xbox 360 situation, because a lot of the Wii games that came out that were multi-platform, you either got a completely different version or a very watered-down version, because the Wii was so much weaker than those consoles. So you are kind of following Nintendo's typical gimmicks. You are, and I say gimmicks because that's how people describe them. I don't think it's a gimmick, but Nintendo has a trade-off. They have either functionality or form. And with that, it's like you either have really high graphics or you have something that sets it apart from the other consoles. The Wii had motion controls, which were super popular, to the point to where every other console kind of mimicked motion controls for a while, until people realized that a lot of people don't like motion controls. The Wii U had the tablet controller, which separated it from the other console because you had a full touchscreen controller. And, that didn't necessarily go over too well, because a lot of people didn't know how to take advantage of the screen for multi-platform titles, or they still had problems with the system being less powerful. The Switch is no exception to this. It is going to be less powerful than your consoles or your PC, but what it lacks in power, it makes up for in portability, and that really is, to me, the most beneficial thing. This device has been so beneficial for that because me personally, here in the house, we have a house, the downstairs is basically the game room. So this is the downstairs section. It is fairly isolated. So if I'm down here working, I'm pretty much in my own little corner of the house. If I'm recording, if I'm editing, or if I'm just playing games, I'm kind of isolated. And since we are downstairs, typically in the winter, it gets really, really cold down here. So Amanda's not really, all that keen on hanging out down here just to be social. she'll be upstairs, you know, under a blanket, watching TV, where it's a little bit warmer. Previously, the only option I had to be social while playing a game would be all of my consoles are down here attached to the recording equipment. So I would have to disconnect the console, have a second set of connections upstairs connected to that TV, take the console and the controller upstairs, monopolize the TV to be social. So if she was in the middle of watching something, she's not going to be able to watch it now, because taking over the TV to be social. That was one of the big things about the Wii U that was never really, you know, advertised well, and that's a problem with the Wii U in general, is marketing. But the off-TV play was such a big deal. It's like you could still be in the room with people playing games. And that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed doing, is I've been able to take this up into other parts of the house, either upstairs while she's lying on the couch watching TV, or we could be laying in bed, she's reading, I'm playing the game before going to sleep. You know, I'm able to be more social. One of the biggest things that I can say is we had friends over to watch some movies one evening, and they are movies that I've seen, I've enjoyed, but you know, there were some things that I wanted to get done in Breath of the Wild. There were, you know, I wanted to go, you know, get a couple of shrines done, get some more hearts, get some more stamina, but I still wanted to be social, so I brought the console upstairs. We were all sitting on the couch, they're watching the movies, I'm pausing it while at the moments of the movies that I find really interesting. They hadn't seen these movies, so I'm, you know, watching their reactions, seeing how they enjoy it. We're cracking jokes. I'm going back to playing, they're going back to watch. Like, there's still interaction, but there's still the ability to multitask. And so it's like, I'm not monopolizing the TV, or I'm not, you know, isolated from the rest of the social interaction because I have this. That has been the biggest and most interesting feature for the Switch. The fact that I'm able to take this with me on vacation, which I've done multiple times at this point. I'm able to take this to my parents' house if, you know, I'm going for, you know, a family gathering where, you know, during the holidays there's going to be a lull, like you're sitting there waiting for, you know, we went over for, I believe it was Easter dinner. My grandmother came into town. We're waiting on dinner to be, the Easter Sunday dinner to be finished, and I'm just sitting here. There's a lull, and there's no conversation. We're all just kind of waiting for food. Just start playing the Switch a little bit and going about my day. That is the interesting part. And a lot of people are like, well, you could do that with your phone. You can do that with a 3DS. You could do that with, you know, a Vita if you have one. The Vita is really the only thing that I would consider close to this, because you are getting, on this console, you are getting console quality games. And I've got a stack of games here. Just stack of games. And, you know, a lot of them are, actually, only a couple of these are available on other platforms. But things like, really, Breath of the Wild is really one of the biggest ones, because that is the definition of a console quality experience. Like, that was a game they were, you know, promoting as going to be one of the biggest things on the Wii U, and, you know, as a Wii U owner, I was a little salty that it was coming out on the Switch as well, but it was incentive for me to get a Switch to be able to play it on the go. But things like, you know, Super Bomberman R, I've got I Am Setsuna on the Switch. There are a lot of games on the Switch that are interesting, and some of them, you know, are not exclusive, and that's one of the things that I'm going to get into about some of the cons about the Switch. Or things that are a little bit older. Like I said, you know, Doom is getting ready to come out on the Switch. We're talking about Final Fantasy 15. So we're getting a lot of these multi-platforms a little late, and the exclusive content as of right now is mostly Nintendo stuff, which, you know, is good. They're great with their first-party titles, but having some other exclusive stuff on there would be a benefit. One of the things I'm really looking forward to is Project Octopath Traveler, because that is what looks to be an exclusive RPG done by Square for the Switch by the Bravely Default team. Looks very unique. I've really enjoyed the demo that I've played of it, so that is what I think the Switch kind of needs. And that's, we'll talk about the cons now. I've talked about a lot about some of the positives. Talk about the cons. Again, right now, third-party AAA support very, very slim. Third-party support is doing considerably better. Again, a lot of the games that I have right next to me are games that are available on multiple platforms. I've got Disgaea 5, I've got Fate Extelia, I've got I Am Setsuna, Puyo Puyo Tetris, Sonic Mania, Shovel Knight. A lot of these, not new games, not exclusive games, but they are games that I can now play on the go without having to get, these specific, 3DS versions of a lot of these games, if available. Sonic Mania, not exactly available on the 3DS. So you're still getting a lot of those really, really good mid-range titles. And then there's a bunch of other games getting ready to come out that are going to be multi-platform that I'm really looking forward to on the Switch more than anything else. I've talked about it before. Battle Chasers is coming out on the Switch. It's already available on other platforms. The Switch version was delayed due to an issue with Unity. I have the digital version of that on the PS4 because I was one of the Kickstarter backers, so I got the digital version and a physical version. The physical version I've got coming on the Switch. I'm waiting for that. And I've not played a lot of the digital version past where the demo and the beta kind of ended, because I don't want to spoil too much of it, because I'm really enjoying the game, and I do know there are some parts that can get a little grindy, that you want either grind materials for better weapons, grind money to buy more accessories, better materials, or upgrades, or just needing to get some levels or some extra abilities or some extra skill points. There's a little bit of grinding to it, and so I know that the grinding is going to be a little bit easier for me on the Switch, because again, I can grind when I'm not recording, which is typically what I would do. Is if I don't want to spend a day that I would normally record grinding out something, I could be upstairs, somewhat social, hanging out with people, while still grinding out the materials or stuff that I need. That's what I'm going to aim for, and especially since I want to Let's Play it. So, and then there's other things like Indivisible coming to the Switch, Bloodstained also coming to the Switch. Really excited for those. And then you do have more first-party stuff. You've got, Xenoblade, Kirby, Yoshi, Metroid, Fire Emblem. Those are all some really good first-party games coming to the Switch. I've talked a little bit about Octopath Traveler as a third-party exclusive title. There's the Shin Megami Tensei 5, which was announced by Atlas. They did the teaser at E3. They just released that it's going to be SMT5. No More Heroes coming exclusively to Switch. At least last I heard. That may have changed. I doubt, though. So there is some really interesting exclusive third-party Switch stuff on the horizon. I think we could use a little bit more. Just a little bit. It doesn't have to be AAA. We don't need every AAA title. But, the A, AA, the things that are, able to stand on their own as this is a really good game from any developer, really. But not, the super huge AAA budget where you're seeing commercials for it every 30 seconds. That's not necessarily what... I wouldn't be upset if that showed up on the Switch, but I'm not expecting that. So, again, a lot of things. Some other things that I really think the Switch needs, which aren't really cons at the moment, but they can be depending on how it shows up. We've talked about some more exclusive content. That's something that I really think the Switch could benefit from. Some other exclusive content, I think there could be a bit more Wii U ports. The Wii U was not an appreciated system. I picked it up. At times I regretted it because of how much I spent on it and how little use it was getting from, release to between releases. And in the end, there was a lot of games that I've picked up that I'm like, eh. Especially games like, a lot of people were upset, for those who did have the Wii U, people who've picked up Mario Kart 8. The Mario Kart 8 Complete Edition on the Switch has all the DLC plus some extra stuff, but a lot of people are very jaded about, well, I've already spent $60 on Mario Kart 8, I don't have to spend $60 again on basically the same game with a couple extra bells and whistles. Which I kind of see, but also, I got a lot of playtime out of Mario Kart 8. So being able to play that same game on the go, I'd probably buy again. Again, this is me. A lot of people would be like, yeah, I can't spend full price on a game that I've already bought. Like if they gave it at a discount, but I don't see that happening. But I think other Wii U games could be ported with great success. We're still waiting on any information on Super Smash Bros., and with the most recent update, it made the GameCube adapter compatible with the Switch, which seems to be like the big thing that everyone's like, well, that's getting ready to happen. I mean, they've got the support, and quite frankly, I would love Super Smash Bros. On the Switch. What I would really love for them to do is take the 3DS version and the Wii U version and kind of combine them to get, you know, all of the stages, all of the various modes playable on the Switch, so that you have the best parts of both versions on the Switch, rather than just the Wii U title. Because I really like the adventure mode on the 3DS version. I hated the weird, like, board game on the Wii U. It just seems so disjointed to me. So, you know, kind of hoping for that. But then there are a couple other games that I'm really expecting to make their way to the Switch. Things like Super Mario Maker. It doesn't have the same touchscreen capabilities, so it would be a little more awkward to build levels, but I think it's still doable, and given how popular that game is, I see it coming to the Switch in some way, shape, or form. And, you know, there's a couple other titles that Helix and I have gone through, and it's like, I would love to see this on the Switch. Bayonetta 1 and 2 on the Switch. I like to see Captain Toad. A lot of people like to see Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Paper Mario, Color Splash. You know, there's a fair number of titles that I think could do well on the Switch. So I would like to see them ported, and I know a lot of people are a little torn on that, of, you know, the Switch is like the Wii U 2.0. I don't think that's a bad thing, because there were some really good games on the Wii U. Was not an appreciated console. I really think now that the Switch has a very strong footing, it could revive some of those games that were really well done and just not put on a platform. Because right now I'm kind of seeing the Wii U as Nintendo's Saturn, except without a ton of games. Like, like, there's so many games on the Saturn that I love. Mostly RPGs. Not a lot of RPGs on the Wii U. One of the other things that the Switch really needs, and really needs soon, is its virtual console. We're still waiting on that because we're waiting on seeing how Nintendo's going to do their online. They've brought out some information on their online. It's going to be a paid online service, which is going to be needed to play games multiplayer online on their servers. So things like Splatoon 2, you're going to need the Mario or Nintendo online program. I forget what its name is, or if it has an official name yet, but you'll need that online service, which is cheaper than things like PlayStation Network and Xbox Live, but also a much less robust experience, because things like matchmaking is going to be needed via things like phone apps, which is a little uncomfortable. And they're still trying to get things like voice chat working on, like, there's again apps that handle that, but nothing running through the console itself, and that's just really awkward. There's talk about when you do have the Nintendo Online program that you get free games, free virtual console games. I think it's NES games, so you get free games. Like, that's something that PlayStation Network and Xbox Live already do as well. But the virtual console, I think, would be a huge benefit if you could get the Wii level virtual console. You've got NES, SNES, you know, go for Game Boy Advance, go for some older Game Boy titles. You've got Master System, TurboGrafx, Genesis, and try to, you know, get some newer titles. There's always talk about GameCube games. People are always, you know, on the edge of their seat thinking that Mario Sunshine is going to be announced for this. Some newer games, you know, up to the GameCube era. You know, maybe get some Dreamcast games. I would love Saturn games, but I don't think that's ever going to be possible. but, you know, get a Wii level Virtual Console experience. The Wii had an amazing Virtual Console from tons of systems, lots of titles. If they take that and kind of expand on it, I think that would be an amazing, because you could take the Wii Virtual Console on the go. And I think that's something that would be a huge benefit. But as it is now, we're still waiting on that, and it's been a long wait. But we'll see how it goes for that. And then the other negative is you are kind of getting a graphical downgrade. If you are really set on having 1080p 60 FPS, you're probably not going to enjoy the Switch. But if you're fine with, you know, 720 60 FPS, you know, 1080 30 FPS, depending on, you know, the game, the mode, what's being upscaled, how well it was optimized. Personally, I'm completely fine with 720 and 60 FPS. And a lot of games, they have not been able to get to 60 FPS, like Breath of the Wild, not running at 60 FPS. It doesn't break the game for me. It's still a ton of fun. And there are people out there that, if it's not hitting 1080p 60 FPS, then it's not even worth considering. But again, those people probably aren't looking at consoles, because there are a lot of console games that hit one of those two marks, if any. There's very few that hit both without some sort of problem, because it's just a thing with consoles. A lot of console games don't seem to be hitting those marks. So, like PC games, hitting those marks. PC versions of a lot of these games, hitting those marks without problem. Console versions tend to, they're doing better, but there's still some hit or miss there. So if you're looking at the Switch for graphics, probably not the best thing. If you're looking at the Switch for, you know, higher quality games than your typical handheld or mobile device, you're looking for just really a, you know, I wouldn't even say a step down from your other console games, like your PS4, Xbox One titles available on the go, then this is the console for you. It is a fantastic console. Again, if it gets a lot more of these you know, AA, even to AAA title games, even if they're late, I think the platform showing that it has some decent longevity behind it. I really think Nintendo needs to keep up with the marketing. They've been doing a fantastic job marketing the games. They need to, now that we're getting ready to go into the holidays, they need to market the console. Well, you know, not some more just general Switch commercials that show off a couple of games. Talk about that. And yeah, that's really what the console needs. It needs to keep up with the marketing, because that was one of the biggest problems with the Wii U. It did not get the marketing. So yeah, some pros, cons. I really do think it is a worthwhile system. If there's any game on it that you're interested in, just even if that game is available on another platform, just having the ability to take it wherever you want is really the biggest selling point for me. The games themselves, as long as the game is fun, it really doesn't matter the platform, unless that platform gives me an option that other platforms don't. And that's really it. Like, I've never, since the days of the Saturn, I've never really been a console fanboy. Like, Saturn was my die-hard console. Like, that was it. But after that, it's like, it doesn't matter what platform the game is on, as long as the game is fun. PS2, Dreamcast, GameCube, original Xbox 360, PS3, PS4, even Xbox. I don't have an Xbox One, but that's, I think, right now the only console I don't have. So, it's always been I go where the fun games are, regardless of platform. But now, if there's a game available on the Switch and available on another console, and it's a game that I'm interested in, I lean more toward the Switch version simply for its unique functionality of being able to play it wherever I want, rather than being tied to the console, the TV, the room. I can take it with me wherever I go. Even if there is a graphical downgrade, like, for example, one of the games I got, Fate Extelia, has a few graphical downgrades in terms of FPS and resolution. I don't care. I really don't care. I'm happy taking a slightly downgraded version of the same game to be able to go somewhere and just take it with me. So that's my thoughts on the Switch. I know a lot of people are not on the same, we're not in the same camp, but you know, there are a lot of people like, there's only one game on the Switch that I like. Like, if that's all that you see, that's, I'd say you're either not looking at a lot of the multi-platform games, or really console gaming in general is not really your thing. You're going for like super high-end graphics. So yeah, there's always going to be a very large difference between him, but these are the things that I personally have seen, have experienced, and enjoyed and disliked about the Switch. So yes, let me know your thoughts. Do you have a Switch? If you do, feel free to add me. I'll try to add my friend code thing, whatever profile it is, into the video description, so you're free to add. I don't play a lot of multiplayer games on it, because I think I only have like Splatoon 2, and I suck at that. But anyway, but yeah, if you have a Switch, let me know your thoughts. Do you regret buying it? Have you been enjoying it? If you don't have a Switch, why not? Is there not enough games? Is the functionality not, you know, to your liking? Or is there just, you've been on the fence about it and you're not entirely sure, and you want, you know, some more information on it, because it can answer questions. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Switch, good, bad, in the comments. So till then, later everyone.